Today, Prime Minister Mark Carney broke ground on a new mine located around 120 kilometers north of Montreal.
In 1 year, we have signed 56 agreements on critical minerals with more than 10 countries because they know the world needs reliable partners in a dangerous world. And we know that entrepreneurs, such as those gathered here today, need predictability in the age of uncertainty.
The Matawinie mine will be the largest graphite mine in the G7 and one of the most recent projects greenlit by the newly formed Major Projects Office. This project went from referral to construction in 6 months.
Canada is quietly building something that could change everything. One massive, deep underground project is expected to power the next generation of electric vehicles and clean technology while bringing jobs and big growth to the country. And Canada may be holding one of the biggest advantages of all. Prime Minister Mark Carney traveled to Quebec's Lanaudière region and broke ground on the Nouveau Monde Graphite Matawinie mine, a project that once completed will be the largest graphite mine in North America and the largest of its kind in the G7. The Matawinie mine, located about 120 kilometers north of Montreal, is the latest infrastructure project to get fast-tracked by the Carney government through Canada's Major Projects Office. Construction is expected to take 2 years, with full commercial production targeted by the end of 2028. Carney said the mine could generate nearly $2 billion for Canada's economy and create 1,000 jobs from skilled trades to engineering, while noting that graphite is a critical material needed for electric vehicle batteries as well as defense and aerospace technologies. He told reporters at the mine site that no other G7 country has a mine capable of producing as much graphite as the Matawinie site, a claim that positions Canada as the dominant Western supplier of a material that every electric vehicle manufacturer, battery producer, and defense procurement program in the industrialized world requires in growing volumes. The Nouveau Monde Graphite Matawinie mine in Quebec's Lanaudière region is expected to produce 106,000 tons of graphite annually. To put that production volume in context, the global graphite market is currently dominated by China, which controls approximately 65% of global graphite production and an even larger share of the processing capacity required to convert raw graphite into the battery-grade anode material that lithium-ion batteries require. The Matawinie mine's 106,000-ton annual output, combined with the battery material processing plant being built in Bécancour to refine the extracted graphite, represents a vertically integrated supply chain from mine to processed battery material located entirely within Canada and entirely outside Chinese supply chains. The government said it is providing a $459 million financing package to support and speed up the project. The federal government also committed to offering Nouveau Monde Graphite a guaranteed sales price for 30,000 tons per year for 7 years from a list of customers in strategic, civil, and military sectors. The guaranteed offtake commitment, 30,000 tons per year at a secured price for 7 years, is a specific mechanism designed to address the financing gap that has historically prevented Western graphite projects from reaching construction. Without guaranteed revenue from creditworthy buyers, lenders, and equity investors in critical minerals projects face commodity price risk that makes project financing prohibitively expensive. The federal government's 7-year offtake guarantee de-risks the financing structure and removes the primary commercial barrier that has kept projects like Matawinie in the permitting and feasibility stage for years. According to the Prime Minister, the Nouveau Monde Graphite mining project was submitted to the Major Projects Office 6 months ago, despite having operating permits since 2021. That timeline is the most pointed detail in the entire announcement. The Matawinie project received its Quebec operating authorization in 2021. For 5 years, it had the regulatory approvals required to proceed but had not broken ground. The Carney government's Major Projects Office reviewed the submission and cleared the remaining federal barriers within 6 months. The project that sat in regulatory limbo for 5 years under previous federal frameworks is now under active construction. That is the operational demonstration of the accelerated approvals process that the Carney government has been advancing through legislative changes to the Impact Assessment Act and through the Major Projects Office mandate. Carney said that breaking ground on construction was a sign that Canada is getting its resources from mines to the market at an unprecedented pace, non-US. Exports are up sharply, and we're on track to double them over the next decade, Carney said. We can supply the minerals and energy to countries battered by fears for their supply chains. The export market strategy attached to the Matawinie announcement is specific. Carney stated he had already spoken with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni about a graphite supply partnership, and that he hoped to export Quebec's graphite to trading partners in Asia and Europe, including Japan. Those conversations connect directly to the EU Critical Raw Materials Act of 2024 and Japan's own Critical Minerals Security Strategy, both of which identify domestic or allied supply of battery materials as a strategic priority and provide policy and financing mechanisms to support qualifying projects. A Canadian graphite mine operating under G7 environmental and labor standards, producing battery-grade material at the largest scale in North America, with a direct refining facility at Bécancour, fits exactly the supply profile that European and Japanese buyers under those frameworks are actively seeking. The Bécancour battery material plant is the second element of the integrated supply chain. Bécancour already hosts a significant industrial complex, including a port on the street, Lawrence River, an electrolyzer production facility, a planned sodium-ion battery plant, and existing chemical manufacturing infrastructure. The decision to site the Matawinie graphite refining facility at Bécancour rather than adjacent to the mine itself reflects deliberate industrial clustering, concentrating battery supply chain processing at an existing industrial hub, with port access for export, power infrastructure, and an established skilled trades workforce. While Carney and Nouveau Monde Graphite founder and CEO Eric Desaulniers said social acceptability and environmental protections are key for the project, some residents in the area worry about the mine's impact on local forests, water, and air quality. A coalition formed in 2016, Coalition des opposants à un projet minier en Haute-Matawinie, said it opposed the federal government's decision to fast-track the mining project last November. Desaulniers said it's normal for residents to be concerned about a mining project of this scale, but assured that we conducted very detailed impact studies on soil, water, and air. He said various government authorizations were required to proceed with the project, including an approval by Quebec in 2021. The indigenous dimension of the project is documented and specific. The chief of the Atikamekw Nation of Manawan, C.P. Flamand, was present at the announcement and said he supports the project. The Atikamekw Nation of Manawan's territory encompasses the Lanaudière region where the Matawinie mine is located. Chief Flamand's presence at the groundbreaking and stated support for the project reflects a consultation and consent process that met the community's requirements, a contrast with the environmental coalition's opposition and a material factor in the project's social license in the region. The Matawinie mine is one of a series of critical minerals projects that the Carney government has accelerated through the Major Projects Office since taking office. The office was established specifically to reduce the regulatory timelines that have historically prevented Canadian resource projects from proceeding at the speed that global demand conditions and competitor country supply timelines require. A project with operating permits since 2021 that breaks ground in 2026 after 6 months of Major Projects Office review is the operational proof of concept for that mandate. Full commercial production targeted by the end of 2028. 106,000 tons of graphite annually, the largest graphite mine in North America and the G7, located 120 kilometers north of Montreal.